Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Growthentic Podcast. We've got Shane and myself. Today, we're doing a bit of an SEO session, so buckle in. I've got a fun topic to discuss here. I think it can apply to any SEO, whether you are in-house, agency side, if you're consulting or just starting up on your own. This is a big learning that I had over the course of building strategy for so long. And what's lovely about this little tactic is that it's not specific to an industry. It's not specific to a specific business size. It's very agnostic and widespread in its application. And what that topic is, it's called page type and funnel categorization. So what it is, literally, is grouping pages, web pages, by intent and by content type. So when I say intent, I mean, is it a page that's trying to sell something? Or is it a page that's trying to teach something? Or is it a page that's trying to persuade someone to buy something? And in SEO terms, we think about it as a funnel, and we refer to it as top, mid, or bottom funnel. Content type is literally what the page is, the page type. Is it a product page? Is it an about us page? Is it a page that you can make a donation on? Is it a page that describes a feature of your product or your service? So that's what I mean by content type. And so the topic, again, is how we can effectively categorize your entire website by specific intents and also by specific content types. Why this is so important, especially when you look at your own or your client's website in comparison to all the top competitors within the space. You can analyze multiple websites in a common language, and we'll get to what that really means. But the methodology behind categorizing it by a single definition of what a product page is or what a donation page is across all of the various domains you're comparing and analyzing allows such a simple way of analyzing and also communicating your findings to your client. So why this is so important, I kind of started talking about this, but I think there's way too much focus on comparing traffic between websites. That's kind of the first place a lot of SEOs go. You want to see how much more traffic a competitor has or how much your website has grown in traffic. And that absolutely is a great metric to look at. I'm not saying it's unimportant. But when you're trying to make a case for building more pages or working on existing pages or optimizing existing pages, sometimes it's more meaningful to look at where your competitors are investing their time and their content resources. And a great way to do that is to look at it through the lens of the intent and the content type that your competitors might have, whereas your website might be lacking in comparison to. I think another really cool reason why to do this, once you have an idea of the gaps and opportunities for your website, let's say as an example, compared to your competitors, your top funnel pages are lacking. It could lack in engagement. It could lack in the traffic that is driving to the website. For all intents and purposes, it's lacking to a certain degree. Having that level of insight, right? Not just a very general, hey, we need to create blog content, but really coming to your client and saying, hey, look at all of their top funnel content. Look at the different content types that they have in this portion of the buyer's journey, and compare and contrast that to what we're lacking on our page or on our website. That tells a much stronger story, and it allows you to then prioritize those tactics within your roadmap a lot more easily, because you're getting very specific about the types of tactics and projects that you need to flight to really close that gap between you and your competitors. So there's a lot of reasons why to do this, but I think those are the top two things. It allows you to effectively compare and contrast in a more detailed way between you and your competitors. It also allows you to then prioritize those tactics with a little bit more precision. where I find myself doing a lot of this exercise in terms of categorizing websites and categorizing competitor websites, this is a mandatory thing that we do for all of our clients. So if you haven't done it for the brand that you work on or the clients that are on your book of business at your agency, I say this is an absolute must do. It's not a nice to have. It's something that you need to do to better understand the um, kind of the anatomy of your website in comparison to the top players and the other competitors in your space. Now, what's really cool is that, now with, access to ChatGPT and ways to code things with relative ease without much experience at all, there's ways that you can build tools to do this relatively quickly, which has allowed me to engage in preliminary calls with prospective clients with a lot of really hard hitting, very insightful information and data. And look, if there's so many times where we're just not the right fit with a prospective client, but even just in that first 30, 45-minute discovery call, we give them so much value that I can literally see them having aha moments of like, either confirming or denying what they should be doing when it comes from an SEO perspective. And a lot of that has to do with analyzing their site through the lens of the buyer's funnel and the different content types and contrasting that against competitors in that space. So it's really valuable. It's a must have for existing clients or your brand or your business. But if you are, on the side of the business where you're pitching and selling deals and meeting prospective clients, this can be a really big differentiator in your talk track. And honestly, I don't know how you would go into a discovery call without knowing that level of information. Like it just makes it so much more fruitful to have at least a baseline kind of awareness of the types of content that a business has. So um, that's where I find myself using it a lot for kind of across the board, existing clients and potential clients. And like I mentioned, you can now build tools to do this with relative ease. The majority of 2025, well, before 2025, it was quite manual the way that I was doing this. It was taking forever. It was probably taking anywhere between 1 to 5 hours to categorize multiple sites. I had Excel formulas that might help to a certain degree. I had some ways to kind of automate it, but last year is when I made the first move into creating a GPT and a project that helped. But I found so many instances of hallucination because I think used way too much of like the URL strings and the patterns in the URL to categorize it. And that was already setting it up for failure because the best way to do it is to truly read the content and then understand the intent behind the content and what the page is really about. But the GPTs had a very, very hard time doing that, even with their web fetch tool kind of enabled. I think the context window wasn't really great, so it kind of lost its way of categorizing it congruently over the course of thousands of URLs. It started to kind of tail off towards the end, but it was good enough. It definitely saved me a lot of time throughout the entirety of last year. Heading into this year, towards the end of last year into this year, I started dabbling more in creating scripts in Google Colab with the help of Claude Code. In the beginning it was ChatGPT. I think Claude has just become so powerful now. I find myself in Claude a lot more, but it's really been great from a Python scripting perspective. And now, I have a Google Colab notebook. If anybody wants access to this, definitely reach out. I'm happy to share it. And the results have been astounding. It grounds itself. So it uses a large language model to ground itself in the actual text of the web page and thinks through the intent of the page and what the page type is. And where it really excels is that it can work asynchronously. You can click and walk away and it'll always be there. and it scales really great. So I can do this for 4, 5, honestly, endless amounts of domains, but usually I'm doing anywhere between 1 to 5 domains. And it's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of URLs that it's combing through. And so far, I've done it probably 5 times this year, and the results have been extraordinary. I'm sure there's definite edge cases and things to tweak and refine. But man, just looking at the progression from 2023 versus or 2024 versus 2026, and how much time this is saving, how much more value it's giving me in preparation for a lot of these discovery calls, and the strategy and the time saving that it creates for building strategy for all of our clients. Yeah, it's been extraordinary, and I was really excited to just share this bit. And all the SEO veterans out there, you guys have been doing this for a long time. So if you aren't automating it, please do so. Reach out if you want access to my notebook. I'll share the code with you. For those who are just starting out in the industry, rewind this, listen to it back. Page categorization, intent categorization, to understand your brand website and to compare and contrast it to competitors. It's a must-have.
Awesome. I love that there. Not only the framework and the approach, which, like you said, has been time tested and proven is kind of something that you were doing, but now how much faster and the volume and capacity you have with utilizing AI to help you do all of that. And I think we're really just we've definitely seen those improvements, right, big time over the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years. But I feel like we're still early on in early days right now, and really I think that it's only going to get better as time goes on, and really thinking about yourself as the orchestrator and the operator, or the orchestrator and not the operator. And you're kind of coming up with these strategies and these frameworks, and then figuring out, how do I actually do this with AI without me having to go do every little step in it? And this is a great progression to move from doer to orchestrator. And then over time, it's going to just become more and more of that strategic thinking, problem solving. What do the clients and customers actually value, and what can you bring to them? And then being able to do that faster than anybody else can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just trying to solve the biggest problem in the current state. Like there's so much that we can do, and everyone has their own kind of totem pole of problems, from high to low priority, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I hopefully these conversations don't overwhelm you. Hopefully it motivates you to tackle that big problem that is taking up so much of your time. But if this is a shared pain point for a lot of SEOs out there, definitely reach out again. You can engage with me on LinkedIn, Sam Lee, or hit me up via email, sam@qrasconsulting.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I know people will definitely be reaching out. That is a ton of value right there. Just the collab notebook. You got to go and get that. Come on now.
Cool. All right. Thank you.